Please subscribe to this channel for more videos related to Catholic Christian teaching. The exercise of the Church's power to forgive sins is a judicial act. The Council of Trent defined against the declaration theory of absolution by the Reformers that the priestly absolution is a judicial act. If anyone says that the sacramental absolution of the priest is not a juridical act, let him be anathema. From the fact that the Protestant Reformers' tenet of justification by faith would make all that is needed for salvation, the absolution then becomes merely declarative. Justification by faith doctrine reduces pardon granted by the Church to the merest announcement of the gospel, especially of remission of sins through Christ. If confession is of any good, it was merely as a direction or a greater guarantee for forgiveness. Anathema in common usage is something or someone detested or shunned. In ecclesiastical usage, it is a formal excommunication. In the Old Testament, anathema was a creature or object set apart for sacrificial offering and thus removed from ordinary use and destined instead for destruction. The Council of Trent declared that Christ appointed priests as overseers and judges who are given the competency by virtue of the power of the keys to pronounce the forgiveness or the retention of sins. A juridical process demands three essential elements: a judicial power, knowledge of the state of the facts, and judicial sentence. Christ transferred the power to forgive sins to the apostles and to their legitimate successors. The incumbents of this power exercise it in His name and in His authority. The Church's power to forgive sins is of twofold, since it includes the power to remit or to retain. The application of this power must not be arbitrary, but must be related to the objective norm of the moral law and to the state of conscience of the sinner. It follows from this that the possessor of the power must know and conscientiously examine the objective facts and the subjective state of the penitent. In view of his investigation of the guilt and disposition of the sinner, the priest, in his capacity of God's representative, pronounces the judicial sentence, by virtue of which the sins are forgiven or retained. The decision to retain, like the decision to remit or forgive, is a positive judicial sentence, not merely a non-using of the power of absolution. The imposition of works of satisfaction in penance is also an act of judicial power. The conviction that the forgiveness of sins was a judicial act is clearly expressed in the practice of the early Church. After the confession of sin and the imposition of penance, the sinner was formally ejected from the communion of the faithful, that is, excommunicated, and when penance had been performed, solemnly reaccepted. Please go to YouTube Retirementality channel playlist Sacraments for the complete series of these materials.